Hey, what's going on? This is Mark Bruce with Fit Strength Performance, and today we're talking about how to increase your vertical by going through some solid variations of plyometric drills that are going to make sure that you are progressing appropriately and not overdoing it in your training where you're dealing with some knee issues, some back issues, and you're really optimizing that plan and that program so you can see the results that you want. So we're going to go through 5 exercises, and this is how we progress our athletes from our middle school kids all the way up to some of the professional athletes that we deal with and anyone that's really interested in jumping higher. So stay tuned for these exercises. First one is going to be our snap down. Staple in our programming. We'll add this into our movement prep. We'll add this into the training block for our athletes depending on their level, as well as if they're coming in with with an injury. So this is where we're starting tall, thinking we're a rubber band, and then snapping down, really making sure we're balanced. We don't want to be snapping, falling on the heels. We don't want to be snapping, falling on the tippy toes, and we don't want to see an athlete do this. Right, there's nothing athletic about that. So that can really enhance what the tendons do, what the muscles are doing, which is going to improve your ability to jump. And it's going to get you ready to jump within that program, within that workout. And this is something that you can even do before you play in a basketball game because it's grooving the pattern. It's making sure joints, ankles, knees, hips are all doing their job and they're warmed up for that training block or that practice. So the first one is a snap down. So that second movement, the second movement is a box jump. We like the box jump because it's really going to, help the athlete learn how to load, and then it gives them a target to jump on. But one of the main reasons is they're not jumping down and landing, whether they have a 12, 15, 30-inch vertical, it's going to be more friendly on the joints. So it's a good exercise to prepare the body for more aggressive movements, and there's so many different variations that you can add in with this box jump. So we're just going to do a typical box jump, but what we'll do is sometimes we'll go into a snap down and hold, really make sure there's position, up, and then land again, still working on that, hip hinge, that snap down position, that pre-jump position, right? And then, so that would be just that paused, right, snap down. We can even do more of an eccentric base where I'm 1, 2, 3, 4, and then coming up, because now we're teaching the muscles and the joints everything to load in synergy, right? And then there's other variations as well that we can use that box. And then just giving you an additional one for some of our younger athletes who don't know how to bend too well yet, we'll do a seated concentric jump, right? So they're learning how to get low, so I'm here, and then I'm jumping up. So they're learning how to bend their knees, because a lot of times we'll get an athlete that does this, right? They're there loading their hip and jumping. So those are 2 variations that we'll use using the box. That's a great way to prepare your body and learn how to use force into jumping and getting those tendons more acclimated to more stress. So that's going to be those 2 box jump variations where we have just a typical box jump. We also have our pause box jump, and then we have our seated concentric vertical jump. So we have 3 movements added into this one box jump variation that we'll implement into our training. So try that one out. Vertical jump, our vertical jump training to help you jump higher, to do it in an efficient way, is we now have hurdle jumps. You notice I have 2 different size hurdles, because a lot of times we get athletes that fall in love with a taller hurdle, but understand the higher you jump, the more force you're going to land with, which is going to put your tendons in more stress. So if you're an athlete that's not all that strong, you can't really jump as high, and you have to pull those knees up to your chest, you're landing with more force into the tendons, and that can give you more harm than good. And you can also land in a bad position because you're jumping so high. So this is where we will progress from a 6-inch, 12-inch, 18-inch hurdle, and we even have 24-inch hurdles as well. But just like the box jump and our snap down, we'll first start with our snap down where I'm here, snap, up, land. And you notice it sounded louder than a box jump, so that means more stress is going into my tendons. So we really want to make sure we're progressing appropriately instead of just going to the hardest movement ever, the highest hurdle jump, to prove that, you can jump higher. Because realistically, doing that is beneficial, but guess what? That didn't really mean I jumped 18 inches. That just means I pulled my knees up to my chest, and now I landed with more force. So can I stabilize that? Because we see athletes getting hurt in their training because they're doing exercises that are way too advanced for them, right? So we'll go with our 12-inch hurdle jump, and then we'll go into our 12-inch or 18-inch. So same thing here, snapping down, up, land, okay? So we either do that paused, or we just go right into a ballistic where I'm land and making sure that they can land that. And once they're able to do both those movements, we'll progress to jumping onto a box, maybe repeat over hurdles. So this is just our hurdle, our vertical hurdle jump. So our next two movements, our fourth and fifth one, are more advanced. They're two different styles. So we'll call this one, the first one's a depth jump. The next one is a drop jump. So that depth jump, and we also have altitude landings too, but we kind of add those in within our snap downs and then in our hurdle jumps in terms of being able to land appropriately. You'll see it in different programs though, but we're gonna go with a depth drop or depth jump, which is gonna be more loaded. You're gonna bend your knees more, it's gonna be slower out of the hole. So I'm gonna be here, and when I land, I wanna bend down more, generate more force and muscle, and stabilize on that foot, and then jump up in the air. So it's not gonna be as quick, it's gonna be slower. So some of our athletes that are more twitchy, this could be beneficial for them because we wanna teach them how to use more muscle versus overuse their tendon. So if I'm here, right, so I'm using more muscle. Notice how I bent down more. I was loading my quads, glutes, and hamstrings more, and then I was getting out of the hole because we have a lot of athletes, basketball players are more twitchy, so they're using their tendons all of the time and they just can't load the muscle. They can't load their hips and their knees and flex at their ankle, plantar or dorsal flex. So again, I'm here, bending down, then jumping up as high as I can. The second one is our depth drop, okay? Our drop jump. This is where it's more tendon-based, more twitchier. So I'm here and I'm, right? And I'm jumping up, right? So little knee bend, so learning how to get off the ground quicker. For me, who is more strong, I'm stronger than most basketball players, just hyping myself up. I need more of the tendon stuff. So I do a better job jumping when I can load my muscle, my body, versus being quick. So again, that drop jump, I'm here, so really, really fast. Those are two different variations that we will progress 3, 4, 5 months into the training block as we really build the engine. So again, we have our snap down, we have our box jump, we have our hurdle jump variations, we have our depth drop, then we have our drop jumps or our depth jumps. Okay, that's the variations we'll apply and prescribe to our athletes from a way to ensure they're seeing results, not overusing their body and seeing any negative effects within that training. So try those out. I know they'll help you. You can do 2 weeks of one, 2 weeks of the next, 2 weeks of the next, so it's 10 weeks of training. You can go 3 or 4 weeks of each and keep building. Make sure you're doing strength training. Make sure you're teaching your muscles, growing them, getting them stronger, and all that stuff within that plyo training as well. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it. Share this. If you like it, give it a like, do all that stuff. Share with a teammate and a coach.